This video is going to show you how to germinate seeds. And as you can see here, I've already got started. I just took a regular paper towel and I sprayed it down. You can spray it down with water. I'm actually using it's water with organic fertilizer or worm shit. I do have a worm composting thing, and at the bottom there's a spigot, and you just drain some of the worm juice in there. You only need like a couple tablespoons for a whole sprayer full of water. So a couple tablespoons of worm shit, and the rest of it fill with water. So it is slightly brown. But water works just as well. I just like that extra fertilizer in there. So get that sprayed down good. And the reason I like to pre-germinate is because I sometimes have older seeds. I think these are from 2012. I ordered them from this little place in Easton, which is local to me. And they have good prices for it. They give you a lot of seeds for a decent price. So you just take and, oh, there's only a couple of seeds left in there. Good. But if you pre-germinate them, then you know which ones are gonna bloom, are gonna grow. And if you just plant them in the ground or even in little cups, then sometimes you end up wasting the space because, you know, they tell you to plant 2 or 3 seeds at a time. And if some of them don't germinate, then you end up with empty cups and then you've got to start all over again. This way, you know, you take the first 7 to 10 days to germinate them, and then you only plant the ones that sprout. So you're kind of ahead of the game. So basically here, I'm just trying to get rid of some old seeds. I have some butterhead lettuce. You probably can't even see those seeds. They're really tiny. But I do them about 1 inch apart because when they start to sprout, the sprouts can grow up to 1 inch. They do grow at different rates. And you want to check a seed chart to see how long it takes for your seeds to germinate. Most of them are anywhere between 5 and 10 days to germinate, and that just means that a little sprout comes out of it, and a little bit of a root comes out of it. I think lettuce is 7 to 10 days, but you also want to start with your cold crops like spinach and lettuce, and I like to start my tomatoes early so that they can be good and sturdy when I go to harden them off and put them in the garden. So if you look over here, I actually have a couple of tomatoes started. These are all heirloom tomatoes. They're a mixed variety, but you can see a couple of them grow in there. And that mix I have there is vermiculite and perlite. It's almost like a hydroponic mix. I'm going to try this year to do some of my seeds hydroponically rather than in dirt, just to see if it makes a difference. Because, you know, it's hard to get good, real organic soil, and at least this way you know that it's, you know, not full of pesticides and stuff. So here you can kind of see where I've laid out all my spinach and my lettuce seeds. The bigger ones are spinach. These little teeny ones are lettuce. I only had a few seeds of that left. I'm trying to get rid of some old seeds, which is again why I'm germinating them ahead of time, because instead of throwing out seeds from a year, 2, 3 years ago, you can try this, and you know, it doesn't really take any extra time. But what I did was I put it on half of the paper towel, and then I'm going to fold the other half of the paper towel carefully on top of it so that it lays flat like that. And then I'm going to take a Ziploc bag, a gallon Ziploc bag like that, and I just shove the paper towel very carefully. Try to keep actually I usually press them down like this so that the seeds are kind of stuck to the paper towel, because when you go to stick it all in the baggie, the seeds might roll around and then you'll have them all clumped up together, and that's no good. And this fertilizer stuff really stinks. See here, I'm shoving it in. The one thing you might notice is that the paper towels are a little bit bigger than the gallon bags. Just fold the edge over. It's not going to hurt anything. And I usually use 2 hands, but shove that right in there and then pull the bag up over it. Keep doing that until it's all the way in. Okay. You can see I have the seeds in the baggie now, and I've sealed the baggie. And what you can't forget to do is to label your seeds, because you think you're not going to forget what you planted, But trust me, you'll forget what you planted. Or you'll think, oh, the first row is lettuce and the next row is spinach. And guess what? You'll forget. I forget every time. I always think I'm going to remember. So my first row was spinach. And then I had lettuce. And that was just a mix. And then this was spinach, Merlot Nero. And so there, I labeled them all. In fact, I'm going to put a little arrow down here so you know that it's spinach all the way down. And these I got from Baker Creek's Heirloom Seeds, and this is one of my favorite seed catalogs. They're a little bit more costly than the Ark Institute, but there are a lot more varieties. And I'll tell you that the ones from Ark Institute in the plain brown envelopes have grown the best for me. They're probably the most proven heirloom crops, and these grow pretty well as well, but sometimes when you get these crazy varieties, you know, you don't always get, some of them are meant for certain areas and they don't thrive as well in your area, so you might want to check. I don't know if it even says on the back. Yeah, they usually have planting instructions, but sometimes they'll tell you where they thrive best and when to plant them and so forth. And we'll do another lesson on a growth chart and, you know, how to plant things so that they grow when you want them to grow, and so that you plant the things together that are supposed to grow together and that grow best together. So we'll do a whole other lesson on that. This is just to germinate your seeds. So the next step I found that works best for me is I put them on a heat pad because if they're too cold, they might think that it's still winter outside, and then they won't germinate as fast. But if you give them a little heat, they'll think, oh, it's springtime, time to germinate, and they'll do that. And same thing with the light. I actually have I'll tell you, here it is. It's a grow light system by Jumpstart, and this is a really awesome little grow light system. It was really inexpensive. I forget how much it was, but it was the least expensive one. I think I got it from Gardens Alive. But basically, it's just you could probably make this. Honestly, if you're handy, it's really just, you know, the tubing, which you could probably use with PVC pipe, and then you could probably buy like one of those fluorescent light hangers that you can get at like Home Depot. I don't know that you could make it really for much less than what it costs, but if you're handy and you do that kind of thing, hey, go for it. Pretty sure that's just a regular fluorescent light in there. High output, 54 watts, 6400K is what it says on there. But the grow light really helped me a lot, because what a grow light can do for you, if you started off really low like that over your seedlings, since the light is so close to the plant's not going to grow up real super tall to try to reach the light, so your plants won't get leggy. If you've ever tried to grow seeds in your home before, you might find that this has happened. If you don't use a great grow light, you'll get these tall, skinny plants, and they're very brittle, so when you go to transplant them, they break in half and you lose half of them. But having a grow light set at a low level is going to keep your plants from getting leggy and keep them nice and bushy at the bottom. Again, my little tomato guys in here, they do look a little leggy. Sometimes what you can do is, especially with tomatoes, is you can either build up the dirt around them, or you can like stick your finger in there and kind of punch it down a little further and then build the dirt up around them. So that buries some of the stem and then keeps the top leaves